Us now is Jorge Heine. He's a research professor at Boston University's Pardee School of Global Studies and is Chile's former ambassador to China. Ambassador Heine, thanks so much for joining us. First, we heard there about the numbers lower than expected. We got here because of the protests in 2019, and this was one of the results, an assembly to rewrite the Constitution. Are you surprised that the people who were protesting, it seems, didn't come out to vote?
Well, I'm not necessarily much surprised. There was a plebiscite held in October of 2020 on whether Chileans wanted a new constitution or not. And in that plebiscite, at which point the pandemic was already on course, participation was around 51%, which is quite low by international standards and even by historical Chilean standards. So the real question was whether this time participation would be higher than 50%. Yesterday it was about 20%. So we would have needed a 30% additional voting of the electorate today. That apparently may not have been reached. So that is unfortunate. But that doesn't stop the process on course, which is extremely important and by which Chileans will give themselves a new constitution. In its 200 years of history, Chile has never had a constitutional assembly, an elected constitutional assembly, to give itself a new fundamental charter. In that sense, and for the reasons that were said before, this is really a truly historic moment, and we should put it in proper perspective.
And it's clearly being seen that this constitution will or should be reflective of Chilean society. Currently, Chile is a conservative country by Latin American standards, based on a free market model. We heard some people who were voting saying that they were afraid that there might be a shift to populism on the left, towards, one person said, the Venezuelan model. How realistic is that you could see a dramatic shift in Chile?
There will be no such dramatic shift. What there will be is a change towards a more sensible constitution. The constitution that we have now seriously limits the role of the state in the economy, otherwise limits the activities of public policy and different ministries. It makes it really quite difficult to face the challenges of the new century. This is a constitution that was drafted by the advisors to General Pinochet in 1980. It is really way past its due date. And we need a modern constitution, one that allows public policies that need to deal with the challenges of the new century and much more flexibility than the rather rigid structures that we inherited from the military dictatorship.
These 155 members of the Constitutional Assembly have 9 months to write a new constitution, which then has to be voted on. What are some of the challenges in that process going to be?
Well, a key question is the question of whether there is a group that might veto the decisions of the majority. Because the agreement that was reached in November of 2019 among the various political parties was that the Assembly would need 2/3 to approve the new charter. And that, of course, is a challenge, because what might happen is a situation in which, a little over 1/3, that minority might block the movement towards the sort of charter we need. The hope is that these elected members of the Constitutional Assembly will reach an agreement, will move towards some sort of consensus of giving Chile the sort of constitution we need. But obviously that is a problem. The other problem is that Chile in the past few years has become extremely polarized between the right and the left, between government and the opposition, between different perspectives on how we should organize our society. So that is another challenge. And again, the hope is that the elected members of the Constitutional Assembly will be able to reach some sort of a middle ground and be able to agree on the sort of charter that the country so badly needs.